Bring this meeting, business meeting of the School Board of Alachua County for April 17th to order. Before we officially do the Pledge of Allegiance, let's go down and in front of the band, okay? Board members?
Pledge after. Okay. All right. Well, it's my pleasure this evening to welcome Dr. Thomas Nelly and his students from Idlewild Elementary. Dr. Thomas Nelly has been teaching music to school-age children in Alachua County for 15 years. He spent 11 years at Hogtown Middle School, 1 year at Duval, and is now in his 3rd year at Idlewild. His program focuses on American music, which gives his students opportunities to learn repertoire and play instruments common in jazz, blues, gospel, country, rock, folk, hip-hop, and pop music. All students at the school are included. The students who are performing today are part of an after-school band program that meets once per week. For Jazz Appreciation Month, they will perform 2 jazz standards, When the Saints Go Marching In and Hit the Road Jack. And the students featured this evening are Kaylee Harris and Brianna Mulroney on keyboards, Javon Newsom on bass, Micah Newton on guitar, Jamari Britt on drums, Denasia Grace on percussion, Lexi Rain and Jada Metire on vocals. Please welcome Idlewild Elementary School.
school is here today, and our A team is Bird, and our DR team is Jones.
It's a little bit different. We'll do the pledge. Will you young ladies and gentlemen help me with the pledge, start the pledge?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Do that? Ready?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you're named Jack, you don't have to leave. Corny, I know, but the best I can do. All right. Let's look at the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Motion's by Mrs. Griffin, second by Mr. Hyatt. Do we have any discussion on this? Anything? All right. All right, everybody in favor of the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
And against, likewise? Okay, passes 5-0. Let's get the minutes out from the last meeting, was it? The March 20th, 2018 school board meeting. It's been a long time since we had a meeting, hasn't it? You guys had a chance to look at these minutes?
Yes.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So,
We'll have to.
Second.
All right, Mr. Hyatt made the motion, second by Mrs. Griffin. Do we have any discussion? Nobody? Anybody else? Okay. We've had a motion to approve the March 20th minutes. And a second, everybody in favor, please say aye.
aye.
And opposed, like sign. Okay, now we're gonna have presentations. We're gonna have Mayor Jordan Marlowe, who's also a teacher at Newberry High School, from the city of Newberry, and Jalen Farnsworth, AP Human Geography student. And the National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation, Newberry High School Water Conservation Project.
Good evening, Chair Paulson, board members, and Superintendent Clark, and happy birthday to Board Member Griffin. Thank you for allowing us to come here and present to you this evening about the National Wyland Mayor's Water Conservation Challenge. My name is Kezid Hagland, and I'm in 10th grade at NHS. I'm here tonight with Katie Silverman, Taylor Komisanis, and Morgan Anstead. And we are here to tell you a little bit about our project we've been working on with our mayor. We have a bit of an unusual situation in that our mayor in Newberry, Mr. Marlowe, happens to also be our teacher in AP Human Geography. He was telling us about this competition which pits cities from all over America against each other to see which city can conserve the most water. And it sounded a lot like some of the environmental policies and practices we have been learning about in our class. So we decided to partner with him to see if we can be a part of making a difference in our community. All we are asking residents to do is to go to mywaterpledge.com and give us 3 minutes of your time to take the pledge. The pledge is on the honor system, and we promise that you will not receive any spam email or be called by anyone trying to sell you anything. If Newberry wins, one lucky resident will receive $5,000 toward their utility bill, and one of our local charities will be entered to win a brand new Toyota RAV4. We are asking residents to vote this year for 10 Can, a local charity focused on helping our veterans and first responders. All we are asking from you is to be our latest sponsor and support our efforts to get the word out. The Mayor of Archer and the Mayor of Gainesville have also accepted this challenge, and because all 3 cities are in different population categories, we could all end up as winners. What is wonderful about this challenge, though, is that every time someone takes the pledge, no matter what city they are in, we all win. We do have one other request. We are raising money to install a water bottle filler water station at NHS. These stations not only conserve water, they also help us get to class on time. We would love for you to consider using NHS as a pilot for installing one of these at every school. And since an adequate pilot program really needs data from at least 2 schools, we would like to consider matching our funds. If we raise the money for one at NHS, would you consider matching us for one at Oakview Middle School? And please don't feel the need to answer us tonight. With your permission, we will send a follow-up email to the person we designate to update you on our progress and to keep our fingers crossed about the water bottle filler station. Again, thank you for your time tonight, and we would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have a question? You took the pledge?
Website and answer some questions. I'm proud of y'all for doing this and for Mr. Marlowe bringing it to you. And there's 3 cities in our county doing it is actually even better. So thank you for doing this.
All right, anybody else?
I just wanted to say thank you. It's very exciting to see your involvement and your understanding of the importance, the reality of the finite resources that we have and our duty for our environment, for our future generations, to preserve and protect our water supply, which is everything in Florida. So thank you for setting an example, and I'll have to definitely go on and do the pledge. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mrs. Roy?
Thank you. You are part of a tradition at Newberry High School. I don't know if you remember Mrs. Cynthia Holland. Was she before your time? But she had an environmental club who was very, very active there and increased student awareness. So congratulations for carrying on the great tradition at Newberry in your concern for the environment. And other schools have also focused on water conservation. I know High Springs, in a community school, Judith Weaver had a award-winning program, and Mrs. Weaver is with us tonight, so in another capacity. So I'm sure she's very happy to see you guys doing what you're doing. So thank you. We're really proud of you.
Dr. Pauls, can we get a picture?
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask, you wanna get a picture, do you wanna come up here like you said? This would be something new, you'd be the first.
Yeah, be easier than us
Would you
going
want-
down there.
With the drums on everything.
With the drums, right? How are we gonna do this?
Well, you stay where you are.
Stay where I am?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
We'll move in.
Why don't you sit down, Gunner?
Why do I sit down?
Good idea.
Help yourself.
Yeah.
Obligate, well, that's fine.
Sit down here.
Hey, I wouldn't have called you up here if I didn't know that was coming.
Sit down.
Come on, Lee.
Well, I haven't.
Okay, one with the birthday hats.
That's great, thank you very much. You wanna say something?
I just want to thank you guys for fitting us in. I know you got a busy schedule.
You get a chance again, everybody was
I
talking.
just wanted to thank y'all for fitting us into your schedule. We know y'all have a busy agenda tonight. We appreciate you letting us come. The competition is just this month, so it means a lot that you got us in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Boy, you got, Mr. Hunt Client's right. Now, School Library Month, Professional Association of Library Media Specialists, POMS. And we have Kelly Moore, their president, for this presentation.
Good evening, hello, and I am Kelly Moore. I'm the media specialist at Littlewood Elementary School, and as you said, I'm also the president of the Professional Association of Library Media Specialists here in Alachua County. So we thank you for recognizing us tonight, and I'm reading a proclamation from the governor that recognizes that April is School Library Month, so a time to think about our school libraries and the part that we play in the education of our children. So if you're a media specialist, just wave so you know we've got some friends here tonight. We want to thank you. So we just want to be sure the school board, the superintendent, and the community understand how grateful we are that the One Mill has been supported repeatedly. We feel like that is a validation of what we do because we're included, and that we are making a contribution to the life of children, supporting reading and libraries, and that's why we're here. So we have a little video, and then I will read the now the proclamation from our governor. Whereas school library programs are an important asset in the education of Florida's youth and promote literacy and enjoyment of reading, and whereas school library programs significantly contribute to student achievement by providing instructional support, resources, and services, and whereas school libraries provide access to information in a variety of formats within the school, as well as digital resources outside the school, and whereas learning to become effective users of information and ideas is essential as Florida's youth prepare for their futures, and whereas promoting competencies in using new and emerging technologies is an integral part of the school library programs, and whereas school librarians are instructional partners and consultants in the teaching and learning process. Now therefore, I, Rick Scott, Governor of the State of Florida, do hereby extend greetings and best wishes to all observing April 2018 as School Library Month in Florida.
Kelly, we asked some of the, you have some librarians with you, right?
We did.
Would you stand if you were a librarian?
And our supervisor as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, here we are. Okay, now we're going to go to a report. This report is going to be by Debbie Gallagher, who's taking the place of a person that was a legend in our community, Perry McGriff, and I'm sure it's a great replacement, of the One Mill Committee. The One Mill Committee is the oversight committee to make sure that the money that we raise from One Mill gets spent correctly, like we said in the language in the on the ballot. One Mill was passed in this committee was formed in 2008. We passed the One Mill with 63% of the vote, then 68 in 2012, and 77% the last time. And there was a record turnout of people voting. So 100 and something thousand people voted for the One Mill. So thank you to the community. Thank you, Mrs. Gallagher, for you taking over as the chairperson. And now I'll just turn it over to you.
It's kind of fun for me right now. It's almost 4 years since the last time I stood at this podium in a different capacity. And I want you to know, in retirement, one of the nicest opportunities afforded to me is the opportunity to serve on this committee, because One Mill is dear to my heart. And so this year, it's a pleasure to be able to serve as chair with a wonderful committee. And I'd like to, we annually report to the school board on the One Mill expenditures, and I'd like to do a presentation. Before I do, though, I would like to introduce the rest of my committee. And so in the audience, if I call your name, if you would stand and be recognized and remain standing until everybody's name is called, okay? So Harvey Budd, Eric Goodday, Sam Goforth,
Eric's back there.
Jean Robinson, Lillian Swanger, Albert White, and Janie Williams. I'm very pleased that they have an opportunity to join us tonight to also be part of the report to you. First, this is not anything new. You've been having these reports annually, but what's important to know, as Gunnar was mentioning, that this is the third time that our community has voted to support One Mill, which speaks volumes about what's important to the parents and the community in regards to One Mill.
Can I interrupt you 1 minute? If
Certainly.
we get, at 6:30, we have to have a public hearing.
Oh.
So if it comes to that, you know, we could let you finish afterwards, but we have to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you move the mic over? Yeah.
There you go.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
I just wanted this before you got in. all
No
of a sudden I
problem.
hit
Just
you
give
with
me
that.
the...
No, you don't have to stop, you can go after the hearing.
Okay, sure, absolutely. So what this means is, and it's a perfect choreographing this evening, because I've got media specialists, I've got students performing, because all those parts are part of the One Mill. And what it means in regards to revenues that come in, we're talking $1 for every 1,000 of taxable value of our property. And we raise, it depends, but we raise between $11 to $14 million annually, depending upon property values. I think it's important to look at ballot language because we adhere to one of our responsibilities, or to make sure that the expenditures within the school system match what the ballot language has to say. And so this means that this round for the One Mill began in July 1st of 2017. It is funding for school nurses, elementary music and art programs, K-12 school library programs, K-12 guidance programs, middle and high school band and chorus programs, academic and career technical magnet programs. And also, really importantly, it supports classroom technology. And what's important also to note is that the ballot language says that there must be an independent citizens committee, and that's what we represent. Some of the things that we do, one of the things, we meet twice a year, and we meet with the chief financial officer, and we meet with the superintendent, and we review not only the expenditures but also revenues that are coming in. We ask questions. We also ask for updates on successive programs that is supported by the One Mill. And also annually we report to the school board, which is this evening. In addition to that, if there is a discrepancy that we can't account for between ballot language and expenditures, and it's our responsibility to report that to the chair of the school board and also the superintendent, but we run a real tight ship, and so that doesn't happen. At the end of the 4 years, then we put together a report, a final report. To date, we have had the opportunity to support the students in our schools to the tune of $103.9 million since the beginning, and that is really... And so I'd like to look at the 2016-17 fiscal year and what does that mean for us in regards to our expenditures for One Mill based on the ballot categories. And that means academic and career tech magnets, we have 58 teacher units that are covered by One Mill. School nurses, it's in the language, but currently right now school nurses are funded through Medicaid on an annual basis, but it's in the One Mill in case we need to tap into that for the future. We have 54 teacher units in the area of elementary art and music, 13 teacher units in middle and high school band and chorus. School libraries, we have 20 media specialist units that are covered through 1 mil. K-12 guidance, we have 19 counselor units, kindergarten through 12th grade. And we have, for classroom technology, 8 technicians and a lot of equipment, to the total of 173 teacher and technician units that are funded by 1 mil. But what's really important to all of this is, what does that mean for students? How many students in Alachua County are touched by the 1 mil expenditures? All, every one of them. Nearly 28,000 students benefit from 1 mil because we have media specialists in our schools, we have art and music in our schools, technology, guidance counselors, so every single one of our students in this district are touched by the expenditures of 1 mil. I think that what I wanted to also look at now is to look specifically at each of the ballot languages, the categories, and look at what that means. And so we have, in the area of academic magnet programs, we have a total of 58 teacher units that are shared between academic magnet and also career tech. And if you look at this, we not only have programs from elementary school, middle, and high school, but all around the
Debbie,
school.
I've got to interrupt you. I'm
No
going to ask
problem.
our attorney, I have to have this right now in this public hearing, or can I let her finish?
We can at least finish the slide, if that would be helpful.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you.
And so at the elementary level, we have gifted and talented magnet at Archer, fine arts magnet at Rawlings, math, science, technology magnet at Stephen Foster, and a gifted magnet at Williams Elementary. At the middle, we have Academy of Technology and Gifted Studies at Howard Bishop, the Lyceum program at Lincoln Middle School, and the Center for Advanced Academics and Technology out at Oakview. And at the high school program, our IB program at Eastside is covered through 1 mil, and our Cambridge program at Gainesville High School is covered by 1 mil. I'll be back.
Okay, hi, so we're gonna have a public hearing. This is the opportunity for the public to present testimony on this issue. And I'll tell you what the issue is in a minute. It is requested that speakers keep their comments to approximately 3 minutes. This public hearing has been scheduled for 6:30 p.m. to consider and receive input on adoption of elementary science, is it junior high science?
Middle junior high, yes.
What?
Middle junior high.
Junior high and AP government as presented. So if anybody wants to speak, this is your opportunity now. You have 3 minutes to talk on this subject. Not 3 minutes total, everybody, but each person.
Megan.
Megan,
She's a presenter.
anybody want to speak? Okay, all right, so if that's the case, if nobody, then we'll come back, we'll sit there and we'll restart our school board meeting and Mrs. Gallagher. See, that was long, wasn't it?
So we were looking at the academic magnet programs, and now let's look at the career academies that we have. And it's really wonderful, and it's very proud that we offer in Alachua County career academic programs across the district. So we have at Santa Fe High School the Academy of Agri-Science and the Institute of Biotechnology. At the Professional Academies Magnet at Lofton High School, we have the Academies of Automotive Technology, Gaming and Mobile Apps, Graphic and Art Design, Fire and Emergency Medical Services, and Robotics and Engineering. At Gainesville High School, we have the Academy of Health Professions and of Future Teachers. At Newberry High School, we have the Academy of Criminal Justice. Eastside High School, the Institute of Culinary Arts. And at Buchholz High School, the Academy of Entrepreneurship and the Academy of Finance. It's really, I think, very special that we have practical training and technology subject matter that can prepare students for collegiate level as well as full-time jobs. And in the fiscal year 2016-17, our middle school and high school students earned over 2,031 career certifications, and that's pretty remarkable. Now it's time to talk about the arts. We have 67 teaching units that support the arts from K to 12. There is compelling evidence that we know that connects student learning in fine arts and academic achievement. You can't go into an art or a music class and not see a map of the world, and they talk about history and culture and music and art from around the world. We know there's a link to improvement in reading and mathematics. I know I walk in the past, I've walked into music classrooms and they're teaching quarter notes and half notes, it's fractions. And of course also in mathematics, reading, and social studies. We know that students who participate in arts have a greater love of being in school. I mean, I witnessed this. This is an after-school band program, and they are just great. Also, an improvement of thinking skills like reasoning and perception and imagination and inventiveness and creativity and problem solving. So Alachua County has a robust arts program in music, visual and performing arts, all the way from elementary, all the way up from middle and high school. That means chorus and wind symphony and jazz and beginning band and concert band and symphonic band. Everywhere you go, we have art and music in the classrooms. And a picture's worth 1,000 words. The arts are thriving in Alachua County Public Schools, thanks to the 1 mil. And lastly, one of the areas that is covered in 1 mil expenditures is that of technology. And we know that it's important in a school district to have state-of-the-art technology. Students need to be prepared for the future of an ever-changing digital world. And not only is it important for their life skills, but also future workforce in this world. And so therefore, we count a lot on the expenditures towards technology. We have purchased more than 10,000 computers for classrooms using this money. We have more than 1,000 interactive projectors for classrooms, district-wide Wi-Fi, instructional software, and up-to-date computer labs in every school. The 1 mil currently is the primary funding source for technology purchases and is therefore absolutely crucial to local schools. What's important when we get together and we have our meetings, it's important for us to hear how our programs are performing that are supported by 1 mil. And I could go on and on with all the achievements, but I would like to focus on just a few to give you an idea. GHS students earn top scores in nation and world on Cambridge exams. Buellholz finance students win first place in the National Future Business Leaders of America Awards. Eastside Chorus students named to National Honor Choir. Lincoln Lyceum student wins National Award for Hurricane Research. GHS Cambridge and Lincoln Lyceum students named National Broadcast Masters Science Competition semifinalist. Wiles Chorus performs at Carnegie Hall. Eastside IB students win grand prize at Florida State Science and Engineering Fair. And Newberry High School criminal justice students win 3rd state title. Professional Academies Magnet at Lofton students win top awards at Skills USA Conference, and Eastside Culinary Arts Program takes silver at state competition. We are very proud of all the different kinds of things that this legislation supports and the money that we receive from the 1 mil, and we believe it's doing wonders in Alachua County, and it's a privilege to be able to share this information with you tonight.
Tremendous presentation. Rob, you got your light on.
I do.
Yes, you do.
I wanted to say, first, of course, as we always do, thank you to the voters of Alachua County. But a very big part of this is the Oversight Committee. I want to, personally thank each member of the Oversight Committee, because that is a key to this working. This isn't give us money. This is, here's the investment we're going to make and we're gonna make sure that the children get the benefit as presented on the ballot. So the transparency is crucial to the success of this program. And, you know, those of us who've been around for a while remember what brought this on in the first place, and that was cuts from Tallahassee. And of course, that was economically a tough time. We could sort of understand cuts a little bit then, maybe that we can't understand now. But the choice of this community was, we're going to make sure that we provide a full, holistic, well-rounded education for the children in our district. And so I want to thank everyone involved in making that happen. And we just, I'm not sure where we'd be without this. So I want to, since you're all here, I do want to thank the Oversight Committee for making this work, and of course all of our wonderful teachers, and so thank you to everyone.
Dr. McNeely?
Yes, Mrs. Gallagher, and to the team, the Oversight Committee, thank you so much for your service. We had a interesting conversation, Mrs. Gallagher and I, before board meeting started, and I hope she will do some things that she said she would do. I'd like to see when your committee, when the team comes back together, as you were doing your slides, you mentioned K-12. I'd like to see pre-K added into that if possible, because we certainly don't exclude our 4 and 5-year-olds. So I think it would be incumbent upon us to add that 10 little piece in there for our preschoolers, because they certainly are given many same opportunities at our schools. And even more so, I hope, now that you're showing the public what the dollars are spent for, we certainly don't want to leave our youngest out, if you would consider that.
I'd like to say something. It's also a program that's growing already. Like, let's go to Hawthorne. Hawthorne's ag program was reinstituted this year. And they're up to, I know you, Mr. Hyatt was out there, and I was out there at their chicken dinner they had the other day, and they have 60 people back in that program. So it's in work, it's growing. And it's not just for the Cambridges and the Lyceums of the world and the IB. We have this, we just put in the east side a CNA program. CNA program, because there's opens it up to kids that they can get jobs when they get out. And there's we total of 5 new programs in the last 2 years. So it's growing. Thank the Lord that we're getting a little more money out of the taxes to help us fund these programs. I just wanted to point that out. Okay. Anyway, that's what I have to say. I want you to understand the money's not just going to one group of kids. These kids at the CNA program at Eastside are some of the kids that maybe they couldn't get into the health professions program at Gainesville High. So it's been expanded to other students in our district. So that's what I see this doing. It's a tremendous program, and thank you to the community too. Our community has been very, very good in backing our education. And the reason, let me just give you, when this happened in 2008, you know how much we were cut that year? In the general fund, we had $201 million 1 year. The next year, we were cut $35 million. You say, where would it be, Mr. Hyatt? We might be bankrupt. This $1 million saved this school district. Thank you. And I know you do a great job. Anybody else? And thank you to the Oversight Committee. All right, so we're going to go on to the next. The school library, no, we did that, excuse me. The School Planning Advisory Committee, SPAC, is moving up from the end of the agenda to the middle. Right, Mr. McNeil?
Exactly, thank you.
He threatened me.
The SPAC is back, huh? For another update. Good evening, school board chair, board members, student representative, superintendent, and staff. I am Rick McNeil, Advocacy Chair of the ACCPTA and the Chair of the SPAC, the School Planning Advisory Committee. While this is an update since the last meeting, I explained before that the school board sought and gained permission from the Florida Department of Education to build a new elementary school in our county based on its growth, both real and projected. The interlocal agreement stipulates that the school board will form this SPAC to provide recommendations to the superintendent when there are school site selections or expansions or closures. Each municipality assigns one municipal rep and up to 2 citizen reps to the committee. Each municipality has their own process for assigning committee members. We have about 20 members and participants, including school board staff representatives and consultants. The SPAC was mandated to provide a recommended site and finding of facts for sites for an elementary school which will house 773 Alachua students. The school is slated to open by August of 2020 if we do our work. In addition, the SPAC committee is also asked to look at any other projects that will alter capacity, either increasing or decreasing students at any school. Last month, when I updated the school board and citizens, I mentioned all the possible criteria that we applied to the 1,314 parcels of land that fit the necessary acreage for the new elementary school. Here again are the boundaries of the search: the Alachua County urban cluster and Gainesville city boundaries. At last month's board meeting, we had reduced the number of potential sites from 1,314 to 218. So here you can see that we have a lot more red than green. The red parcels were eliminated for one reason or another based upon ownership. For example, those owned by the state, city, county, university. Also, environmental concerns, improved or developed land, apartment complexes, and land affected by noise. All of those were indicated by red. The remaining ones in green are the 97 properties that the SPAC committee continued over the last month to look at more closely. Just last Friday, to further reduce the number of properties, we were able to reduce the number of viable properties to 34. This is based upon the committee looking at only property that has a minimum of 25 acres that were high and dry based on a final analysis of the floodplain within the urban cluster. So what are our next steps to further reduce the list of potential properties to a few upon which to base the SPAC recommendations to the superintendent? This week we will once again look at ownership more carefully this time and restrict the walking zone of students from 2 miles to 1.5 miles. That will increase the number of properties again that we can look at and then try to start working down. This slide shows the yellow walk zones for students within that boundary for each of the elementary schools. And this slide shows the number of students or pockets of students that are available to be bused because they live outside the 1.5 mile zone. This move may reveal additional properties that the committee should look at. It will also provide the committee data on the students who could attend a newly sited school. This follows the guidelines and criteria for a new school site as outlined in the interlocal agreement for public school facility planning agreed upon by this board and local governmental bodies. The student data will give us an approximate number of how many students would be within walking distance of a particular site. It's an amazing, amazing program. Also, it will tell us the economic and racial makeup of the potential walkers. This data will tell us what might happen to other school zones also. So what are our next steps? Our next steps, part 2 of our committee's stated purpose, we were to review the potential projects funded by the half-cent sales tax, which we all hope and expect to pass. We will assess any proposed projects that alter capacity of any of our schools. To begin that process, we will attend the first stakeholders community meeting to which all citizens are invited, as well as the school board. If you or any person in the community would like to participate in dreaming about what our future and the future of Alachua's students and their schools could look like, then please join us at East Side High School on Saturday, May 19th. To read more information about the ongoing work of the SPAC committee, please log on to the School Board of Alachua County website. Locate the link under the calendar and click there. And I'd also like to thank you for viewing and listening to this update. I'd also like to thank the hard work of these representatives on the SPAC committee for all of their time and devotion to this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. You know what I'm really happy about? Is you keep stressing the interlocal agreement. Because you know something?
It's an important document.
Yes, it is. And when we don't adhere to that, we don't make ourselves look too good. So that's why, without me going further into that, thank you for stressing it.
Thank you.
Dr. McNeely.
Mr. McNeil, and to your team, it was a pleasure, and I won't miss this week either, to be in attendance last Friday to learn everything you need to know about how many locations of possibilities for a new school. And I didn't hear you say tonight, I might have missed it, that we are on a deadline, that you have to have a certain cutoff and location established if we are going to meet the state deadline. I don't know if you said it early and I just missed it, but I know you're under some pressure to narrow down the locations. There's numerous things that when citizens come together and take a look at all of the work that your committee has done, then they will get a better picture of what's upon all of us by 2020. I'm here to say that wherever we go, and I said it to the superintendent today in our personal meeting, we certainly want to have this school as diverse as it can be. And I'm charging or putting out to this committee and to the citizens and to the staff of Alachua County Public Schools to make sure that that happens. So I wanted to go on record saying that so that we can have a school that we're so proud of. And also I need to add, not only are we looking for that new school, but all of the schools that are other places where I heard Mr. Tom Coward say one day to me, you won't even recognize if you go in a classroom, unless you looked at the outside of the building, you wouldn't even know that you were in the older schools. So I don't want the public to turn us off to think that we are only concerned with the half-cent sales tax for this new school, because that's not the case. We are looking at renovations for all of our schools based on the highest priority needs that they have established. I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to stop. But I just wanted to offer that for the
Well,
public.
thank you. Yes, that's exactly what we're trying to do, so, thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Mr. McNeil, excuse me. Anybody else have anything to say? Okay, let's go on. Board member, superintendent announcements. Okay, April Griffin.
I'm not gonna say everything that I had listed down here, but I did want to mention that this is spring musical season in our high schools. And I have had the pleasure of seeing the Wedding Singer at Eastside and Peter Pan at Gainesville High School, and they were both fabulous. So tell Olivia that it was great. And this week is starting Santa Fe High School's Schoolhouse Rock, and Buchholz is doing We Will Rock You. And so if you can go out and support our high schools, that's great. And I also wanted to thank Cox Communications for having their Inspiring Heroes celebration. We had 14 students that have met insurmountable challenges that are heroes in their schools, and one was at Idlewild, and in their community. And I just thank you, and I'm glad you're here so I can thank you in person. But that was an awesome thing to have for students that don't normally get recognized. So thank you. That's it.
All right, Mr. Hyatt.
It has been a while, and I wanted to mention what an incredible job both the middle school and the high school all county bands did at the Phillips Center. Sort of an interesting side note is that the conductor of the middle school honors band was Howard Bishop band director Amy Barris, high school band director, and the conductor of the high school band from Westchester State University in Pennsylvania was Bill Pizer, GHS band director's assistant band director in middle school. So as things is take your band director to work day, and as Mr. Pizer said, so but it was spectacular, and as both conductors said, this doesn't happen in every county. So I'm very proud of our teachers and our students. Also, continuing on the 1 mil, my number 2 1 mil item is the Buchholz Spring Art Show, which was, if you get a chance to go next year, put it on your calendar. Every kind of visual art, from sculpture to ceramics to photography, including advanced placement courses, but the whole range of art. And it was, congratulations to those students and their wonderful teachers. And also, I did get to see the Wedding Singer at Eastside, and would highly recommend that, and I hope I get to some more this weekend. Thank you.
Eileen Roy.
Thank you. Just wanted to mention that 3 of us, Mr. Hyatt, Dr. Paulson, and I went to Tallahassee to support the lawsuit against the state that we have with 12 other counties. And unfortunately, we did not win that, but we are, I think, appealing, hopefully.
We're talking about it tonight.
Pardon me?
We're gonna talk about it. It's on the agenda.
Oh, is it on the agenda? Well, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that our team had the burden of proving it to be unconstitutional, which we sincerely believe it is unconstitutional. But the judge did not agree. He said it was stupid. But stupid laws aren't necessarily unconstitutional. So I think that kind of tells you something about the state the state laws that limit local control in our state. I wanted to mention the Sidney Lanier prom was very sweet, as it always is. And Santa Fe High School students go there and dance with the students, and it's just very, very sweet and inspiring. Wanted to mention the Bob Graham Forum that Brian Scarborough and Dorothy Thomas did for the public. All of us on the board know about it, but it was kind of to inform the public about the half-mil sales tax and the Children's Trust, which sponsors, well, initially K-5. Birth to 5, I should say, but it really is for all the K-12 students. But that was very eloquently done, both by Mr. Scarborough and Ms. Thomas. We're really proud of both of them and grateful to them. I also wanted to congratulate Brianna Berger, who won the 2018 Coca-Cola Scholar. She was one of 150 out of 90,000 students who applied nationally. She's just a very accomplished young woman. She's created a number of apps which will help all of us, like a Sleep Beep, which warns you when you're too sleepy to drive. She's, let me see, she created a national organization to encourage girls to take interest in computer science and coding. Coder Girls, it's been taken up around the world, and just an amazing accomplishment for one so young. And the one I really love, she's working with the Girl Scouts to expand that nationally. And the one I really give her hats off for is the senior tech night that she has, where she goes to senior centers and teaches people like me about technology. And so she's quite a young woman and a very, very good example of our students to the nation. And that's it.
Hi, Dr. McNeely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To Major Dennis and his staff at Gainesville High School, I want to thank him and staff and the students, cadets, for inviting us to view the Pass in Review. That's what it's called, Pass in Review, where we were able to observe the students who serve in ROTC. I was very surprised at their energy and how well they look. In fact, I thought if President Trump had been in the audience, he probably would have recruited these cadets and saved the United States a lot of money for this upcoming military parade. So I think that we need to send him those photos, because those cadets were just excellent. Also, I'd like to put out a congratulations to Mrs. Finley and Mr. Caslam for such a grand teacher recruitment time at the Hilton on the 7th of this month. There were so many energetic candidates there, and I'm sure that the principals, I see a principal here still sitting, she needs to go home and be ready for tomorrow, that they had tons of people in line wanting to interview for our positions. How great is that? And so I'm hoping that that day will provide the principals and other administrators in this district an opportunity to grab on before another district does. I'm sure that we will benefit largely from the candidates that I got a chance to speak with individually while there. So congratulations to Ms. Finley, Mr. Cassim, for excellent, what would you call it? Recruitment day. Job fair, the superintendent said. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, I'm not gonna say much, but I have to say something about the aspiring heroes. That could bring tears to your eyes to see what public education could do for some of these kids that you would think never would have a chance to be successful, and the stories they told. So that was a great thing to be at. And then the lawsuit, just to give you an idea with the lawsuit, because you know something, we got to keep fighting for public education. I hate to keep doing this. 20 years, I've been doing it a long time. I guess I get old. But the 6 different provisions that were challenging was discretionary capital millage. It usurps the school board's authority to decide that replacing an air conditioner here is more important than maybe a swing set for a charter school. I mean, we're making a drastic comparison, but the charter schools can do about what they want without any oversight. Schools of Hope. Has anybody heard about Schools of Hope? Well, the Schools of Hope, we have no authority to say no, allows the state to enter an agreement with a school, which totally eliminates having your local school board. Totally eliminates it. Local education agency. We're the local education agency. Our school board. But federal laws define that. Local education is locally responsive unit. Charter boards, and don't get me wrong, we have some good local charter schools. This is about these specific subjects. Charter boards are not responsible to local taxpayers. We are. You vote for us. Mandatory charter contract requires us to use a state contract and declares any proposed changes by us to be presumed illegal. Right now, we can negotiate with a charter school for a contract. What's wrong with that? And, have a give and take. But this makes it so anything we want is presumed to be illegal. Title I funds, which we use for low-income students to try to make changes for the better. Restricts school board's authority to use federal Title I funds for purposes they deem to be most educationally beneficial and most likely to effectively address the educational needs of low-income students with their respective jurisdictions. And then the last one, the turnaround provision, which we're doing with Hawthorne right now, takes all authority away from the school board and local taxpayers by requiring a school to close or be handed over to an outside entity, leaving nowhere for local voters to go to address issues or raise concerns. These are what this lawsuit's about. And I'm going to say it, it's the last time, it's not going to be the last time I say it, I've been saying it for years. We need to fight to preserve public education, a precious birthright that all our people should have. And there's also one other, but I'm going to stop because I don't want to bore you. I'm not boring myself, I guess. And we got to fight for public education. Thank you, PTA, for what you've done, along with the League of Women Voters. When that charter school want to come in from Fort Lauderdale, I'm from Broward County. I grew up there, but I'm a Gainesville resident, not a Hollywood resident anymore. Have been for 50 years. I don't want them coming up here and running our school district. So thank you for what you did. You do a great job, and we all appreciate it. And that's it for me. Now, consent agenda. Citizen input, citizen input. We have 15 minutes. You have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll let those people speak until the 15 minutes is up. Then we'll have citizens input again at the end of the agenda. Anybody? I haven't had anybody turn anything into me, have I, Rose? Yes. Okay. All right.
And I listened to Mr. McNeil's presentation on the SPAC. I've heard that one as well as one that was given at a previous meeting. And my question to you, it's been mentioned of the walking distance, the radius of the schools that's around the schools, the neighborhood schools concept. So my question to the board is, it's as if we're citing a new school with the neighborhood concept, like we're married to that forever and ever, like there's never ever going to be any reconsideration of changing so that there could be more diversity in the schools. And I'm just really wanting to know what the position of the board is on that, if that's the model that's going to stay in place for forever. Because I've heard no mention of there being any type of rezoning because the county is going to continue to grow westward. So I'm just wondering, what's the board's stance? What is the board's stance, or what type of things are they going to look into to balance out schools socioeconomically, thereby racially, or if we're just going to continue to build new schools out west because that's where the population is, and the schools in the east will continue to get emptier.
Anybody else? Nobody? Okay, now we can go to the consent agenda. Who's going to present the consent agenda? I don't have a name here. Superintendent, thank you.
That would be me. Dr. Paulson, I recommend that the school board approve the
Here it is, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
recommend that we approve the consent agenda as described in items 1 through 9.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion about the consent agenda? I got it. I'll do it. That she can go talk to somebody instead. Okay. Anything, anybody? All right, since we have no discussion, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? We did have that, okay. Everybody that's in favor of the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you there, Mr. Hyatt. Now we go to the action items, all right? Action item 1, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Dr. Paulson. The superintendent recommends that the school board approve the allocation of funds and approve the proposed new job descriptions for the positions of Chief, Security and School Safety, Director, FTE/State Reporting, Assistant Superintendent Human Resources, and approve the proposed amendments to job descriptions for Director Research, Assessment, and Student Information, and Assistant Superintendent of Operations as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No discussion, all right, we have a motion to approve it. Everybody in favor of action item 1? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, like sign, okay, it passes 5-0. Student representative to the school board, Bracewell. Mr. Bracewell.
Good afternoon, Chairman Paulson, board member, Superintendent Clark. First of all, I'd like to say it's been a pleasure working with our student representative, Alexandria, on the selection process for future student representatives. And with that said, the superintendent recommends that the school board approve the proposal for the selection of student representative to serve on the school board as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Griffin,
Second.
second by Mr. Hyatt. Any discussion? Ms. Griffin.
I want to thank you for your work on this, and also for the fact that you're going to rotate through the high schools. I think that's important, and the only problem is it's going to take a long time to get through all of them, because we're only going to have 2 per year. But I do appreciate you adding that in there. I think it's going to help us to get a better perspective from our students.
Mrs. Roy?
Thank you. I thought this was a great job here, from the 2 of you and Alexandria and Mr. Bracewell. Just one thing I wanted to ask about, and I mentioned this to Alexandria before the meeting. Under the selection process, it goes on and on about how interested students will submit applications to the principal and have references from a peer and teacher at the school. But then they say after review of all the after review of all application packets, the student selection committee will recommend a final candidate. And I'm wondering, who is that? Who is the student selection committee? Is that someone at the high school, or?
That would be someone at the school that is in the selection process at that time. So whether it's the principal or administrators of that school, or maybe a team that they put together that can look through all the applicants and pick the one that they feel is best to represent their school and also the rest of the schools in Alachua County.
Well, I figured that was someone at the school, including the principal, but
Right.
it just didn't say, so I thought maybe it could be a little bit more specific about that, but otherwise, excellent job, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr.
Any
Paulson?
other?
Sorry, Dr. Paulson?
Yes, sir?
That's right. So just in answer, one of the things, we thought each school might have a different way of wanting to do it. So rather than spelling out one way that they all had to do it, just basically have a selection committee.
At the high school,
At
though.
the school, yeah.
Yeah, that should be in there, I think.
You can make a motion to amend. This is your
Oh.
point now.
All right, I make a motion to amend to specify that it really is at the high school, regardless of what process they use, it's at the high school.
Do you want to say at the high school, or do you want to say that it's up to the high schools?
Well, the
That's a
selection
fair
committee
decision.
should be located at the high school and organized however they see fit to do it.
Yes.
What if we include the phrase "formed at the principal's discretion"?
There you go.
That's fine, because that does answer the question of where it is.
That's gonna be your motion to amend.
Yes.
Anybody second?
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Griffin. Any further discussion? None? Okay, let's vote on it. The amendment, right. We're gonna vote on the amendment by, say it again, Mr. Delaney.
Formed at the principal's discretion.
Right, now they be added on to what's already there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right after, when it talks about the committee.
All right, so we have the amendment. Everybody in favor of the amendment as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, amendment passes. Now, everybody's in favor of the amendment as the motion as amended. Please, we've already have a motion, so we don't have to worry. All right, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. So the amended motion passes, okay? And this is a little bit out of line, but an answer to Ms. Certain, would you give her either, you can give her an answer now, or give her an answer during the announcements. How about
Right, that was my plan, at the end of the meeting.
All right. All right, number 3, Mr. White, bid award for project SBAC R1703 Fernside Family Services Center roof replacement, buildings 1 and 2.
Mr. Chair, the superintendent recommends that the school board accept a low base bid and award a contract for construction totaling $199,600 to Precision Roofing Solutions, Inc., Tampa, Florida. Completion of this project will be within 90 consecutive calendar days from the date indicated in the notice to proceed.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Griffin, second by Mrs. Roy. Does anybody have any discussion? Anybody from the audience discussion? All right, so we have a motion to pass the bid award for this project. Everybody in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Or, okay, against, it's like sign, that passes 5-0. All right, next, Mr. White again.
Mr. Chair, the superintendent recommends that the school board accept a low base bid and award a contract for construction totaling $155,000 to Shine and Company, Inc., High Springs, Florida. Completion of this project will be within 60 consecutive calendar days from the date indicated in the notice to proceed.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Hines, second by Mrs. Griffin. Any discussion? I don't hear none. Anything from the audience? Nobody? All right, so we have a motion to approve bid award for project SBAC R1708. And people in favor say aye. Board members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It passes again unanimously. All right, Mr. White again.
Mr. Chair, the superintendent recommends that the school board accept the low base bid and award a contract for construction totaling $277,715 to W.W. Gay Mechanical Contractor of Gainesville, Inc., Gainesville, Florida. Please note that due to budgetary constraints, this bid award is for Oakview Middle School HVAC control upgrades only. The completion of this project shall be within 120 consecutive calendar days from the date indicated in the notice to proceed.
Aye.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Griffin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hyatt.
And I do have a question.
Okay, well, any discussion? I have to ask that question. Any discussion?
Oh, I just wanted to know what about Kanapaha? When is that in the plans coming up in the next year or so? I mean, I see budgetary constraints, but I just didn't know.
Mr. Chair, yes, ma'am, Ms. Griffin, we will, and as we are approaching the budget, we originally went out with both projects, and with the bid response, we weren't able to do both schools, so we're taking this one and we'll get to Kanapaha.
Yes,
shortly.
can you speak a little bit louder, Mr. White, please?
The question was, when will we be able to get to Kanapaha? And I was explaining that we originally bid both schools, but the dollar amount came in over what we had allocated. We will be addressing that as we go through the next capital budget. So I would anticipate the next budget cycle we'll be able to address that.
All right. Anybody,
Aye. On my way as well.
Mr. Roy.
Thank you. And Dr. McNeely's like too. I just wanted to point out that, you know, this is another example of a school needing a roof, or an air conditioner, excuse me, and are not being able to afford to do it. So that's why we need the half-mil sales, half cent
Right, I
sales
said
tax.
it.
Thank you
Everybody
for
said it.
correcting me. Okay, thank you.
Dr. McNeely.
I guess the question is similar to colleague Griffin. If apparently the upgrades that you're doing, Mr. White, for Kanapaha and Oakview, and now that you've decided to do one because of funding issues, they must be operating, I would imagine, because you're certainly, if the HVAC isn't operating, you're gonna do it regardless. So I take it then that since you're gonna do one school and hold off on the other until this, whatever you have to do for budget, they must be operating.
Yes, ma'am, this is for the upgrades of the control systems, and our staff has been very good at keeping things going until we can get sufficient funds to be able to address the issue. And so I really appreciate their skills and talent with that. But as has been mentioned, really just with respect to our HVAC needs, that we could expend our entire capital budget on that, just one aspect. So the need for the sales tax is great, and we kind of juggle and balance based on priorities and which school goes into crisis, and that drives how we allocate. So our budget flows to the issue, if you will.
The question remains for the constituents who may be listening for Oakview Middle and Kanapaha Middle, two different areas, two different parts of the community. How did you decide, if you want to share with us, that this is what we're going to do first, and then secondly, if some other funds appear, we'll do the second? One must be in greater disrepair, maybe?
Can I say something?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. White, isn't this what you're looking for, an upgrade that will make it more efficient even than it is now? Am I correct?
Right.
Right, or am I not right?
The controls allow us to be able to address a number of issues remotely that
Right,
we're not
they turn
able to
They
do
turn them
at
off when
every
they don't need to
school.
be on, et cetera. Am I right? That's what I see that. It's working. It's not working as efficiently as we would like to save money. True, but it's working. Am I correct?
They are working, but they are.
But we
in
want it
need of
more
improvement.
efficient.
So,
And that's what this is right now. It's not like we're sitting there and let them sweat.
right, and we need to be, I need to distinguish, we're talking about the controls and not the
Right.
AC system
Well,
itself.
that's what I was assuming you were. That's why I think that answers Lee's question, is what I'm saying.
Or she asked him how he made the decision.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, the decision was based on priority and which system we could keep going the longest until we could be addressed. It's just simply looking at which one we could address within the budget constraints we had and moving forward that way.
Mrs. Roy?
Nothing, I'm sorry.
Aye. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, so let's vote on it. All in favor of the motion for the Canapaha and Oakville HVAC control upgrades, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Like sign, okay. Waiver request for Aquin, now, we're going into waivers, which we have in this district, and I think it's one of the best things we do compared to what other places do. It's almost like having your own charter schools within the school, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, so anyway, Mrs. Wise, waiver request for Aquin Jones character counts.
All right, thank you, Dr. Paulson. As you said, I do appreciate our collaboration with the Executive Board of ACEA, which allows us to waive the contract to meet the needs of the schools as they identify. So our first one is for Aquin Jones, and the superintendent recommends that the school board approve the waiver request for Aquin Jones as presented.
So moved.
Nice, motion by
Second.
Mrs. Griffin, second by Mrs. Roy. All right, any discussion? None? Anybody from the audience? All right, since no discussion, we'll go ahead and bring it for a vote. Everybody in favor of the waiver request for Aquin Jones character counts, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, okay. Waiver request for Hawthorne Middle High School.
Okay. Again, the superintendent recommends the school board approve the waiver request for Hawthorne Middle High as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And for just, for the, and, any discussion? Why, do you have any? Mr. Ryan?
I'd say this gives students a chance at more credits, and so it's gonna help our graduation rate at Hawthorne, and we wanna do everything to give each one of those students the optimum chance to succeed and to graduate. So this is, again, the type of cooperation, as Dr. Paulson said, that we have with the ACEA, and I think it's a great situation. Thank you.
Right, like you said, that's exactly right. It's one of the things we've implemented to help Hawthorne. All right, anybody else? Anybody from the audience? All right, everybody in favor of the waiver request for Hawthorne Middle High School, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, okay. Waiver request for High Springs Community School.
Okay. This continues a practice in place now, and the superintendent recommends that the school board approve the waiver request for High Springs Community School as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Any discussion? Ms. Roy?
I will just point out that for anybody that thinks that middle school teachers getting out early on Wednesday, along with the elementary schools, the teachers, the middle school teachers are actually exceeding the required number of contact hours or minutes per week.
Right.
So they are not teaching any less, they're just getting out early that one day. Thank you.
And that's anybody else? It's a unique K through 8 school. It's the only K through 8 school we have in the district. So if they're on the same campus, it'd be tough to break those students up.
That's right.
So everybody, if we still have you right on each, everybody in favor of the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those against it, say like sign. Nothing, it passes unanimously. Waiver request for Professional Academies magnet at Lofton High School.
All right, this is another block schedule at a high school, and the superintendent recommends that the school board approve the waiver request for the Professional Academies magnet at Lofton High School as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Motion by Ms. Griffin, second by Mrs. Roy. Any discussion? Anybody from the audience? Okay. Nobody? So the waiver request was Nobody, no discussion, so everybody in favor of the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, unanimous. Okay, waiver request from Urbane Middle School.
All right, this is for an innovative middle school schedule with a 7-period day, and the superintendent recommends that the school board approve the waiver request from Urbane Middle School as presented.
So moved. Second.
All right, a motion by Mrs. Griffin, second by Mrs. Roy. Any discussion? All right, anything for the audience? Point out that most middle schools have 5 out of 6 periods. This is 6 out of 7. The teachers approved this, and I think overwhelmingly too. Yeah. I'm talking ACA representative, I'm sorry. So it's asking a lot of them, but they're giving. All right, Mr. Hyatt.
Well, I'm just going to say that this is, teachers and administration going out of their way to make sure that this smaller school has some of the same amenities and offerings that our larger schools have. So when you have a full-time band chorus teacher and have a chance for an agricultural program, which is very unusual for middle school, outstanding. So I'd like to thank everyone involved in being flexible and making this happen.
Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything? It's just a picture of administration and faculty working together.
Absolutely.
Things work better if both sides agree. So, saying that, everybody in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, like sign, okay.
Thank you.
Again, unanimous. Strategic planning priorities, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. As you recall, the school board held a workshop on March 20th to develop its strategic priorities for the 2018-19 school year. A few days later, you all received a copy of the what you all reached consensus on, and the superintendent recommends that the school board approve the strategic priorities for 2018-19 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Griffin, second by Mr. Hyatt. Any discussion? I would like to, anybody from the audience? I would like to make a couple things. First of all, on the fourth bullet, competitive salaries, target date August 2019, metric 1, salaries for instructional staff will be ranked in the upper 2/3 of state averages. Metric 2, salaries for non-instructional staff will be $15 an hour. It says including benefits. I think we should put in including health benefits, because benefits could be, these people would be making $5 an hour if we included all the benefits. It's just the health benefits, so I think that needs to be in there. And
I'm assuming that would have to be an
amendment.
amendment.
Yeah, so I'm making a motion to amend this recommendation, that's including health benefits, so we don't make a mistake and write something we don't want to write. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hyatt. Any discussion? All right, everybody in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, everybody against it, same, okay, everybody. Now we have to vote on the motion as amended.
Nobody had discussion yet.
We haven't had, and also.
I didn't say, I'm sorry, okay, I apologize. I thought I said, is there any discussion? Public discussion?
Yep.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Good evening, Tina Certain again. I would like to get a copy of that because the link that was on the agenda today did not work, so I wasn't able to review it to have it.
Okay. Anything else? Is that it? Okay, anybody else? All right, let's vote on the motion as amended. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, okay. So that passes, the amended motion passes. All right, where are we at? Citizens input again. 3 minutes to talk. Anybody, I don't have any forms up here, but anybody wants to talk, they can go to the microphone and talk. They have 3 minutes. Anything? Okay, well, I don't have that, so, okay. Boards, members, superintendent requests. Anybody? Mrs. Griffin.
At our last board meeting, I told you that, I had gone out to the Grove House, the Grove Hub, sorry, and, that they were gonna have an open house, and I just wanted to mention that there might be grub at the Grove House on Saturday, but the open house is this weekend, so I wanted to mention that. You should have already gotten a flyer in your box too.
We did.
Okay, anybody else? Mrs. Clark?
Two things. I was going to respond to our citizen, Ms. Certan's request earlier. Also, number one, the electronic link to those goals or priorities will be fixed tomorrow. I've just been informed. The electronic link of the handout you were just given. For the rezoning piece and of the new school, part of the information that SPAC is looking at, I mean, as time goes on, we are able to receive more and more information as technology changes. As they talked about, they're able to identify with a dot how many children, what grade level, race, economics, and all of that. So the zoning decisions would not necessarily be made by the SPAC. That is done at a district level following multiple public hearings, community input sessions, things of that regard. And as part of that process, it's going to be important to have a balance. Yes, it's nice for children to be able to walk to school, but to also to provide a diverse experience for children. There may be busing involved to be able to create that diverse type of environment for children. But it's also important that we're mindful that if we bus every child into a school, I mean, that becomes a recurring cost that could be insurmountable to be able to provide that opportunity for children. So I think we're going to have to really look for a nice balance between a neighborhood school concept, but also bringing diversity to the program, whether it's students' race, students' economic status, neighborhoods, all of that. So that will go as part of the process. Once a site recommendation is made, that's when staff starts working on the zoning piece of that.
Okay. Anybody else have any requests or announcements? Nobody? All right. This meeting is adjourned.